What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so in a recent Q&A session, right, Shaquille O'Neal was asked a hypothetical question, right? He's been involved in a lot of this lately. But anyway, Shaq has always in the past been kind of hesitant to do these types of things, what ifs, if this had happened, whatever. But lately he's been engaging more into these historical what ifs, which I think are fun and should not normally be taken too seriously, though, because sometimes we're passionate about our opinions, we will, give our critiques every now and then, right? But he said, what if instead of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan having been teammates in the 1990s, who won 6 NBA championships, what if it was him and Michael Jordan? And he said, oh, well, we would have won 9 titles instead of 6. 9 instead of 6. And that just goes to show you how dominant a duo he feels that they would have been. Because remember, Kobe and Shaq won 3, and Shaq has stated if they had stayed together, they would have won 5 to 6, right? About 9, that number. Well, I mean, if Michael Jordan still retires from basketball, then I'm not certain about that. If he's still retired for the year and 3 quarters that he did in the early to mid 1990s, then I don't know how that would come to pass. But if they, let's say, Shaquille O'Neal still comes into the NBA in the 90s, right? Or let's just say, better yet, Shaquille O'Neal comes into the NBA in the late 80s when Pippen does, 87, 88. And let's say, for whatever reason, Michael Jordan doesn't retire in the 90s. Let's say he plays throughout the 90s into the 2000s. Can they win 9 titles? I think that's kind of pushing it. But, I mean, you can make an argument. I mean, if the roster was still similar in composition, now, maybe you don't have a Scottie Pippen. Maybe that's the constellation here, or the concession, I guess I should say here. The concession is that Scottie's not there, and you have Shaq there instead. But, I mean, in 90, when you think about it, they were 1 game away from going to the NBA Finals. If Shaq is there instead of Scottie, and the rest of the team is, championship caliber, then maybe they win a title in 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. Well, now think about it. Maybe it would have been 9 in a row, maybe even 10. But, you have to think at some level, you have to think at some level that complacency was set in. You know what I'm saying? At some level, complacency was set in with some of the lesser teammates. I don't know. It's just hard for me to picture a team in the modern era winning 9 titles in a row. It's just hard for me to see that, So that's what makes what the Bulls did so remarkable. With having 2 three-peats in the modern age of basketball. Now, we know George Mikan won 5 titles in the 50s, but the talent disparity in the league wasn't as great. And when Bill Russell won the 8 championships in a row and 11 overall with the Boston Celtics, there was only 8 to 14 teams at any given time during Bill Russell's career. So we're talking about going from 8 to 14 teams to, at that time, we're talking about what, 29 teams in the NBA in the 90s, 27 to 29 teams. So that's a huge jump. Shaq, the most dominant player in the modern era, post Wilt Chamberlain. Michael Jordan, considered the greatest player and the most dominant perimeter player we've seen, uh, inside and outside, dominant. Shaq was a good defensive player. Michael Jordan, all-time great defensive player. Um, I think with Michael being the older player, obviously he would be seen as the leader, although Shaq is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And you can kind of see the chemistry with these two in that 96 All-Star game when Shaq was still in the East with the Orlando Magic. You could see, matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised, especially when Mike was younger, I wouldn't be surprised if Phil had him playing some point, playing with Shaq. And especially when it was that younger version of Shaq who was 300 pounds, 305, and could run the floor. Yeah, that team would be dangerous, man. That team would be nasty. Absolutely filthy. And, you know, I don't know about 9 NBA championships, but they would be very, very, very successful and perhaps the most successful duo in NBA history. I don't want to put a number on it, but I can't sit there and say what Shaq's saying is lying. I can't say that he's lying about it because the potential would be there to do something that we hadn't seen since Bill Russell. I mean, look what Michael Jordan did with Scottie Pippen. And Scottie Pippen, honestly, although he's talented, he's not, to me, an upper echelon all-time great. So, tell me what you guys think, man. Do you think Shaq is going out of bounds saying that he and Michael would have won 9 championships? I definitely think that it'll have been up there.